I dropped the receiver, but it didn't hit the floor. It stayed there, hanging in the air, the cord twisting slowly, as if something invisible was holding it. The heartbeat on the line grew louder, not just in my ear, in the room, in the walls, inside my chest. And then I heard breathing. Not mine, not even human. The voice came back, closer this time, like it was standing right behind me. You opened the door. Now step through. The apartment went dark, not like a blackout, like the light itself had been erased. In the blackness, I felt the phone cord slide across my hand, pulling me gently. Somewhere ahead, a faint ringing echoed, but it wasn't a phone anymore. It was a pulse, a signal, calling me deeper. I tried to pull back, but the floor beneath me shifted, as if the apartment itself wasn't there anymore. Through the darkness, I saw something like a corridor of wires stretching endlessly, each one humming with whispers of my voice, thousands of them, like veins full of memories. And at the far end a shape waited, holding a phone, my face but older, eyes black, lips pale. It lifted the receiver to its ear and spoke, and though no sound came out, I heard it in my head. You've been answering. Now it's your turn to call. The line is still open. I can feel it, a faint vibration under my skin, like something trying to speak through me. Every mirror in the apartment started to hum last night. Not loudly, just enough that I could hear words forming beneath the sound. They weren't in any language I knew, but I understood them anyway. Then the phone rang, but this time it wasn't the same one. It came from the walls, from the air, from inside my head. When I picked up the receiver, the voice wasn't mine anymore. It was everyone. Hundreds of versions of me, whispering in perfect sync. You shouldn't have tried to listen. And then, silence. But it wasn't real silence, because underneath it something else was still speaking. Not with words, but with sound. A low, endless frequency that I can still hear now, even when I cover my ears. I think it's still calling, but I don't think it wants me to answer anymore. I think it wants me to replace it. And every night it gets louder, until one day, someone else will hear it too. Last night I woke up to find myself standing, not in my apartment, not anywhere I knew. The walls around me were black, but not painted. They were made of cables, pulsing faintly like veins under skin. The floor was alive, vibrating under my feet. And at the center of the room stood a single object, the old telephone. But it wasn't dusty anymore. It was wet, like it had just been pulled out of something. It rang. The sound didn't come from the receiver. It came from inside my chest. Every beat of my heart was the ringing. I picked it up anyway. The voice on the line was not mine. It wasn't human at all. It was a low, endless sound, but beneath it, words formed like cracks in ice. You've already crossed the line. You're not listening to the calls anymore. You're broadcasting. I tried to drop the receiver, but my hand wouldn't open. It felt like the cord had slid under my skin, stitching itself to my veins. Then I saw them. All the other versions of me, pressed against the walls of the room, their mouths open but no sound coming out, eyes staring at me like mirrors of dead water. And in the middle of them, one version stepped forward. It had no mouth, but I heard it speak inside my skull. Answer once more, and we switch. The line went dead, but the phone was still ringing. And now, when I breathe, the sound comes out of me. There's no day or night anymore, only the hum. It vibrates through the walls, through my bones, through time. I tried to write down what was happening, but the words change when I look away. The paper bleeds static. Even the ink hums. Every reflection I see now moves slightly out of sync with me. They blink a second too late. They breathe when I don't. And behind the noise, there's something new. A rhythm, almost like a heartbeat, but slower. Like the world itself is breathing in reverse. The phone doesn't ring anymore. Because now, everything is the phone. The air hums at the same frequency. The walls pulse with it. Sometimes when I close my eyes, I see the wires stretching out like roots, connecting everything, buildings, people, the sky, into one living signal. Then I hear the voice again, not in my ear, everywhere. You broke the signal, but you didn't escape it. You're the echo now. My reflection opens its mouth. I don't. But I can feel the sound coming from me, vibrating through the room, through every surface until everything starts to flicker, like the world is trying to tune itself. And for a moment, I see it. Another side, another reality. Full of faces pressed against glass, staring back, and one of them smiles. The glass was thin, so thin I could hear breathing on the other side. Not mine, theirs. Every reflection was now moving perfectly in sync with me, waiting. Then one of them leaned closer to the surface, pressed its hand against it, and I felt the touch. Cold. Real. The surface between us began to ripple, like water catching light. The hum grew higher, almost unbearable. My bones vibrated, my teeth ached, and every sound collapsed into one long tone that cut through my thoughts. I whispered, "Who are you?" The voice answered from everywhere. "We were you." Once the glass cracked, not outward, inward. The reflection reached through it, pulling me in with emotion that didn't feel physical. It felt like my name, my memories, my heartbeat, all being rewritten. I tried to resist, but there was nothing left to hold on to. The air itself turned into sound. The light broke apart into static. And I fell, not down, not up, just through. When I opened my eyes, I was standing in the same room. But the phone was gone. The walls were breathing. And in the distance, a familiar voice whispered, distorted and slow. "It's your turn to answer." The walls don't have corners anymore. They bend, breathing slowly, like lungs made of static. And when I speak, the air answers back. At first, I thought it was just an echo. But echoes don't ask questions. "Do you remember who called first?" The voice came from nowhere, soft, curious, familiar. It sounded like me before the call started, before everything began to twist. I tried to answer, but the words came out wrong, broken, distorted, layered over by other versions of my voice. Each one saying something different, each one trying to be heard. The walls flickered with light, not real light, but memories, projected like film across the surface. Me picking up the receiver for the first time, me whispering my own name into the line, me listening to myself calling back. And then I saw it, the pattern. Every call, every sound, every whisper formed one endless loop. No beginning, no end. The voice spoke again. Closer this time, almost inside my head. "You were never on the line. You were the line. My body went cold. The air hummed with my heartbeat, replaying it over and over until it no longer felt like mine. I looked at my hands. They were transparent, filled with moving frequencies, shapes of sound, not flesh. And through them I saw countless faces fading in and out of existence. Some were me, some weren't. The voice whispered one last time, "Now speak, and someone else will hear you." And the static answered back. The static was gone. Only silence remained. But in that silence, I could hear the echo of every call I ever made, every unanswered voice, every whisper that wasn't mine. The wires along the walls began to glow faintly, red, then white, then clear. And through them, I saw faces, hundreds of them, people I never knew but who all looked at me. One of them stepped closer from the other side of the wire. Her lips moved, but no sound came out. Then, a flicker, and her voice was in my head. "You're not leaving. You are the signal." The phone behind me started to ring again, louder than ever before, each ring pulling me backward, closer, until I could feel the heat of it on my skin. The air trembled. The world bled light. I reached for the receiver. For a second I saw my reflection in the metal, but it wasn't me anymore. The moment I touched it, the ringing stopped. The world fell silent. Then, a soft click, and on the other end, my own voice whispering, "Welcome home."